Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa White, and welcome to the Dear Journal podcast, a podcast where we talk about any and everything and freak out about life together. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let's get straight into it. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. I have a special guest with me here today. This is Jacob, and we met at the hotel that we both work at, kind of as like summer jobs, and I'm gonna introduce today's topic, but we're going to be talking about unconventional paths after high school and kind of what that means with all the nuances that could be in between that. So I'll go ahead and let Jacob introduce himself.
Yeah, so I'm Jacob. I'm 21. I'm from South Georgia, and I went to university for 3 years after high school and then decided that it was going to be unfulfilling. And so I decided to pursue my passion, which is music, and it has been music since I was a child. And I've been at an institute here in Franklin for about 11 months now, and I'll be graduating at the end of July, and just seeing where the windy road takes us.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, kind of like how that uncertainty how we've dealt with that also, because I think that we both have very different paths in what we're doing, but can relate in the way of the uncertainty of it. Mm-hmm. And so his kind of uncertain path was coming here after not realizing that university and like college was not the way for him to go. Mine is obviously going to Spain and playing soccer there straight out of high school, but what we've learned and probably had some similar reactions when we were telling people that we were doing those. So I don't know if you had any fun like reactions from people or what people said.
Yeah, so like whenever I told my friends that I was going to not be going back to college with them and I was going to be pursuing music, they were like, "Are you sure? Like this seems like a very off the wall. Like I know this has been your passion for a while, but it's like basically there's a lot of uncertainty around it," is what they were saying. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I'm very like scared about the insecurity, like financially and also just like physically, because there's no guarantee around getting a steady like source of income. And but all in all, they were very supportive in my decision because they recognized that I had that sort of drive in me.
Yeah.
And so that was very nice. Really, really
true.
Supportive.
I think having support is one of the hardest things because, well, at least like I know when I told some of my teammates, because all of them were going to college and we're going to play in college, and that had always been my plan as well. But when I decided to do this, it was like, I remember one specific person was like, explaining what I was doing, and they're like, well, yeah, we can't all just go like play in Spain for a year. And
so she was jealous is what I was hearing.
guess but it was just like kind of like a dig, and I was like, well, why not, right? Like, but she was talking about it from her parents would never let her do that as well, and I was like I am very thankful that my parents have been super supportive throughout this whole process, because that really can make it or break it for you. You know, like you can be the one to want to do it, but if you don't have people supporting you, it changes the game. And I just think that like having the drive and the motivation to do it, like it takes a certain type of person to want to go against the grain and take the unconventional path, because most people will get caught up in kind of what everybody else is doing, you know, whether you want to or not, whether you have those other ambitions, you're gonna kind of stick with what the plan has been.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about before also was just kind of the spectrum to what we would consider an unconventional path, because when it comes to taking unconventional paths, a lot of people will think that it doesn't have anything to do with school. You're not going to go get a degree or have kind of that plan B in a way. And so Jacob and I were talking about that, and we were debating whether or not his would be considered unconventional. But I think it is, because whatever unconventional means is kind of like dealing with uncertainty and not going with like a career where you come out with like a lot of money or you have a job guaranteed at the end. And you can kind of speak on that, because I'm sure.
Yeah, so like dictionary definition of unconventional is like unusual or like non-traditional, which in my perspective is something that isn't like, oh, I don't know what else I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna you know, go to college for 4 years, get a degree, be
Yeah.
doctor, lawyer,
Like
engineer,
all these jobs that have.
that have openings where you are able to garner a steady income and support yourself without having to worry about
Paycheck to paycheck.
exactly.
Or like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with like jobs where you're pursuing a career where it's very like passion driven, it's like it's very much if other people see the value in what you're giving them, you know. These other jobs very much have an automatic transfer of value, you know, like you're a doctor, you're obviously worth a lot, right? But if you're an artist, if you're doing music like you know, I mean, even sports like athletes in ways we're performers, you know. So it's what people see the value in you and how that goes for you, you know. And that's full of uncertainty. It's all up to perception, basically.
Yeah.
So,
and I also think that it's like something different from a conventional life path is like the persistence mixed in with the passion behind it, because the more persistent you are with it, the more you're able to grow. Whereas if you just clock in for your 9 to 5 every day, it's like more so monotonous and repetitive.
yeah.
Where like you have to do it, but the fact that we want to do this and we have the desire to do this is different, because it shows the motivation and the type of people that we are. I feel like more so.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things also like work ethic, like dealing with uncertainty and knowing that you have yourself to rely on is going to be one of the biggest things of whether you're successful or not, because you're really only holding yourself accountable. Nobody else is really forcing you to do this, you know? Like we both decided to take unconventional paths and we're dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
And people will ask you, well, why are you doing this? You know, it could be so much easier just getting a degree, getting a regular job, right? But is that fulfilling to us? No. So it's really, you know, there's a saying like choose your heart, you know, like do you want to be stuck in a job where you don't enjoy it but you have money but you're not fulfilled, or do you want to, you know, have to work for it, and then maybe when you do get that job and that bigger break, you know, it's worth it, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like you appreciate it more once it happens.
Yeah. And I think we can probably both speak on this, and just like how our individuality and work ethic and self-confidence has probably developed in this time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is like a crazy topic to get into, because literally, as I was talking to Alyssa before the podcast had started about, I was talking to my boyfriend about this, and how right before I had, you know, jumped into the pool and basically like just dropped everything behind me, or left everything behind me, whatever you want to say. It was extremely scary. It was like one of my greatest fears, because I was so comfortable there. I had everything that I needed there, everything that I could want, except for the fulfillment,
right?
Which is like I hold fulfillment to like the highest standard in my life. Like,
you can feel it missing, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you could feel it. And so before, like, I went to tour the school for a week after. I told them I needed a week to decide, because I was like, holy shit, like this is going to change the course of my life.
For real.
And, I don't know if I can cuss, can I?
You're good.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to hold back.
You're good.
But, yeah, it was basically, I was so fear-stricken that it was like, I had never been that afraid in my life, because I was giving up all my security for something that was so nebulous and uncertain, and it literally just scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, when you're taking that path and you're deciding to finally do that and you're giving up that comfort, I mean, you're only going to grow in comfort. I've talked about that loads of times probably on here, but it's very true. Like, when you decide to allow yourself to be uncomfortable is when you're going to grow the most.
Totally.
And I was even thinking about this, like, recently. Like, I was like, I feel like I've gotten pretty comfortable at home, and I was like, I feel like life's not like easy. I mean, I'm injured and dealing with all of that, but like I finally decided what I'm doing next year as well, so that kind of helped me figure out. Yeah, but I was telling him the last few weeks before that I was like very just anxious and worried, and I was getting sad about it too, because I was like, ugh, like, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel fulfilled by what I'm doing right now. I know this isn't what I'm meant to do, and it's been a very like in between period for me right now. And I'm kind of ready to move on, but like being home with my family, it's very comfortable, you know. But no, I'm ready. And then I was thinking about like when I was back in Spain, like how uncomfortable and like it was for a while, because you don't know anybody, and I had to very much figure everything out on my own. And I was like, do I really want to go back and have to do that all over again? But then when I think about how much I missed the experience, I was like, oh, it's so worth it. Like I wouldn't change it at all.
Like I can't even imagine. You know, you went there last year and you were kind of in the same state of mind as you were, of course, with more experience now.
Yeah.
But you're going in with like a blank slate, and you're having to kind of build up your network again, and like your friends and all that. And I can't even imagine. But I know that, you know, with more experience comes more growth, and with more growth comes more confidence, and then that'll definitely, you'll come out the other side way more.
Yeah. And I think like especially at our age, life is like the best learning tool, is what I've been told as well by people who are like, when I always tell them, oh, you know, like they were like, oh, are you going to school in Spain? Like, are you doing that? And I was like, no, like I'm just gonna be living there like with my roommates from the soccer team. And they're like, oh, so you're like really going out in life like already? And I was like, yeah. Like I'm actually gonna be living, you know, like right out of high school. Because everybody just considers college a little buffer time, right? You're figuring out what you want, and you have 4 years to do it, you know. So kind of skipping that and having to jump right into it, then, you know, it's different. But college was also always made for people who knew what they wanted to do originally, because it was specialized school. Now it's become a buffer period where people change majors like 5 times. Right? But we're two people who know what we want to do, so we don't need that, you know? Like, I feel like that is not what college was made for. So I don't feel like it should be considered unconventional, but it is still, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And, I mean, I think dealing with uncertainty is probably the hardest part, but I don't know if you've had any more like changing thoughts about like what you're doing, or like had moments where you're like, I don't know if I should have done this, you know.
Oh yeah, I've literally changed my mind so much since like coming here to Franklin, because I came here with the mindset, like I had a very big scarcity mindset, because I was like, oh well, I'm not gonna have any money, how the crap am I gonna make like the money that I want and the money that I need? And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be an artist and blow up. And then I was like,
no, but like to be successful, I swear, in like these weird paths, you kind of have to have like an overconfidence of like optimism that it will like, work out.
Borderline narcissistic like mindset. And it was literally so crazy, because I was like, I had never been like that in my life. Like I had always made myself smaller for other people.
Really?
And like, oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting actually.
Yeah, like I'm still like struggling with like people pleasing tendencies and like all of that. And to just jump into the pool with like this mindset, like, oh, I'm just gonna put my nose to the ground, not listen to anybody around me, and just like put in the work. And then I still have that mindset, but it's not like it's not only on me. Because I realize I need to depend on other people. Because going into this, I thought I was gonna have to be this independent, like.
Yeah, it's very true. You think you're going to be alone in this experience, but what you find out is like along the way, so many people do really support you and are looking at you from like behind the scenes. And even with this podcast, I think I mentioned this before, like random people will pop out of the woodworks and be like, hey, like I saw your podcast, I really like think this is cool, I've listened to a few episodes, and it's really really cool to see like who is looking at you, who's looking up to you. And you just would never know though, you know, you would never know unless they decide to tell you, right? And that's why I think taking these unconventional paths can inspire other people to do it. Absolutely. Because I've even had people ask me, like, I've always wanted to go travel abroad or, like, do that, but I just don't know how people do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just showing that it's possible is very much a thing that people will look to,
Yeah, like, giving the people, like you said, inspiration and, like, hope that people are still doing, like, they're still pursuing their passion, and even though there is a bunch of uncertainty around it, it's still possible.
Yeah, it's very much possible, and these days there's so many different ways to success. I think success has become a very relative term, and our definitions of success are probably very different than other people's.
Oh, yeah.
In that we value fulfillment over money and, like, status as well. Status is a big thing when it comes to different paths, because I wouldn't say we have, like, super big status when it comes to, like, when people, there's the parents who are like, they want to be able to say that their child is being, an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, right? We're not those kids.
Yeah, we're not those kids.
We're not those kids. And that's okay. My friends are very proud of what I'm doing, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
You've had support in that as well.
Totally.
But being able to be okay with not being that, and, you really have to have the self-confidence to do this, because not many people will.
And it's also like something that I notice keeps, like, cropping up in my life. Like, you have to fake it until you make it.
Literally.
You have to fake it until you make it. And
so true.
It literally, like, it's just a matter of convincing yourself that you are worth everything that you are going after.
Yeah.
And I think a big problem today is that a bunch of people just have a lack of self-worth and self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't give them, like, I'm totally victim to that. And
it'll creep up on you.
Yeah, it will. It'll fucking punch you in the fucking face. But yeah, I think it's a big issue, and that's why a bunch of people don't think that it's possible for them, because they don't have this self-esteem.
Yes. Oh, okay. This just made me think of, like, I always reference TikToks because I do see those a lot, but it was like, people, and I wanted to do a whole podcast episode about this in general, but just, like, doing things you say you're gonna do, and keeping those promises to yourself. Like, starting a YouTube channel, starting a podcast. I said I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah,
and then I did them.
Guys. Now look at her.
And it's like, right. But, like, and I think people value that, because I followed through on what I said I wanted to do on these things that I am passionate about. And when you do that, when you keep the promises to yourself, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to do these other things. And when people doubt you, you already have followed through on the promises to yourself, so you know that you can do it. It's really about, like, meeting the opportunity with your work.
Totally.
Like, as long as you get the opportunity and you've been showing up, it's gonna work out. You know?
Like I told my class the other day, they were talking about how everything in the music industry seems like it's just based on luck. But then I told them, I had read, like, this, I don't know if it was like a quote or an article or something, but it said, luck is whenever preparation meets opportunity.
Yes, I love that quote.
That's exactly what you just said.
Yes, because it's so true.
It's so prevalent.
It really is. And people don't understand, like, there's a lot of people that I think work very hard, but if they just never get the opportunity, it's not their fault necessarily, But then there's a lot of people who have all the opportunities in the world and have no work ethic to meet it.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to have both. And people forget that, I think there's a big misconception that if you just work as hard as you can all the time, like, no, at some point you have to be presented with an opportunity.
Yeah, you will be presented with an opportunity because you, not to get, like, spiritual or anything, but you're literally showing the universe that you deserve,
right,
like, what you want.
You're worthy of that.
You're worthy of it. Exactly.
You put in that effort to yourself.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think both you and I are very probably individual people, but, like, I think we have a good balance, of knowing when to rely on others, because I think you can definitely get caught up in, like, I'm by myself, I'm doing this by myself, but that's not, there's always people who are going to help you throughout that, and friends that you'll make along the way.
Totally. And those friends, like, can lead to other opportunities, and it's all just like a domino effect. Like, you just have to keep your eyes out for the opportunity, and if you don't take the opportunity, that's whenever you're, like, sabotaging yourself.
Yeah, like, it's also timing. Like, if it comes at the wrong time and you're not ready, then you feel like you definitely missed the opportunity because maybe you didn't keep promises to yourself in the past and you don't feel like you have that self-confidence to take it, you know? And that's the thing. Like, when people go to college, we're so young still. We're like 18. Like, how do you expect people to have it figured out, you know? And we'd both probably like to think that, you know, we know what we want to do, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm sure we've switched it up in our heads as well. Like, I know that soccer is a big part of my life and that's what I want to do, but, you know, especially through these injuries, I've learned I'll be okay without it. It's not like a make or break, right?
Yeah.
But it also, you know, these sorts of things, you know, light our hearts on fire, and that's what you want to pursue.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and like we were just talking beforehand, we were talking like you can't plan for the future because you don't know what will come.
Yeah.
It's like it just circles back to that uncertainty factor where like maybe you're presented with a different opportunity and it leads you down a different path, and then in 10 years you'll look back and be like, oh my gosh, like how did I get here? And then you'll just like follow the bread trails. And
dude, it's so funny to think about that because yeah, even like, I mean, at least like for me in my position, like injuries, you can never predict them. And when I got injured junior year, I mean, I was getting like recruited for college and things like that, and that pretty much screwed up my process as well. And I don't think I ever would have gone to Spain if I hadn't have gotten injured then. And I don't think I would have started this podcast. I don't think I would have done any of that without getting injured this second time.
That's crazy.
So it's just like, you know, every closed door is an open door somewhere else. You know, people say that all the time, but it's so true. You know, it's what you make out of the bad situation, you know? And I don't know if you have any of those experiences yourself where it's like you think that those decisions, you know, totally changed it.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's just, I thought that I was going to come home. Like, I went to university away for a year. Yeah, a year. And then I came back home and went to the university in my hometown just because I was like, I hated the town that I was in basically whenever I had moved off. And so I just came back to my hometown to finish out my university there. And that led me to the opportunity to be more with my family and learn more of our dynamic intimately. And so that and it also allowed me to learn more about myself because, you know, being around the people who raised you, it gives you more perspective into who you are.
I think that's true.
And so it kind of like cropped up because I was feeling unfulfilled in that moment, but I had no idea like what I was supposed to be doing. And so I was around my family and I had realized we have a piano in my house, and I was like just playing on the piano every day, and I was like I felt the most fulfilled whenever I was at the piano. And so I was like, well, this is like this is what I'm supposed to do, I feel like. So this is what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah.
And then I told them.
I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oops, that's funny. But it's so true though. And I think also one of the things, like, we both moved away from our hometowns. I mean, you came up here to Tennessee, where you're moving away from everybody you know, and people don't understand what factor that plays into it as well. Because not only are you doing something different, but you're in a completely new environment where you know, you're figuring yourself out too. We're both so young still and can't necessarily say we know ourselves the best. And I think it shapes you into a very different person. And then coming home, I don't know if you've gone home in a while or like felt like maybe with all the new experiences you've had that you feel different. Yeah,
like I feel like I'm growing apart from like everybody that is back at home.
It's very true. I've had that for sure experience.
And it's like, it's disheartening because you're like, you want to have that same, you know, you want to be on the same vibration as everybody like you grew up with, because it's like you invested so much time with these people.
It's true.
And it's just like, it's not the same anymore. And
you can't relate on the same things you used to as well. Like, I know, and I don't know if you've had this experience as well, but people talk a lot about college as well because that's where they've been. That's been their experience this whole time, right? But me not having that experience, I can't really speak on that, and so I'm very quiet during those conversations. And nobody necessarily asked me. I mean, they asked me about how Spain was and stuff, but they don't know what to ask because they have no idea what the experience was like. So it turns into like nobody really knows what I was doing for 7 months, genuinely. And so it's pretty funny when random things will come up and I mention things and like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like, but
Yeah.
nobody knows. So it's just very much a disconnect from your kind of old life, you know?
Yeah, but it brings to the surface all of the good qualities that you've developed while you've been away. And it's like, you see how they're kind of still like stuck in their same cycles, whereas you are like, you've broken those cycles and you've created new ones for your own personal growth.
It's very true. And like maturity. Maturity is such a big
Totally.
thing. I don't know, like literally at work, Julie, like so many people have thought that I was like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been home, majority of the time when people guess my age have gotten over 21.
Yeah, I
I'm
genuinely thought that too whenever I first had met you. And it was like, whenever you had told me your age, I was like taken aback because I was like, there's no way, because like she's so much more socially and it seems like personally advanced than everybody else her age. And I was like, holy crap, what?
And it's like, but you know, I think back to, you know, because you jumped into the real world right away, right? Because you know, and that comes with a lot of responsibility, comes with a lot of just personal awareness that you have to have.
Oh yeah.
And so coming back, it's like, you know, there is kind of like a maturity gap, I feel like, in some of my friends and just kind of that aspect. But you're also older than me, so, you know,
well, yeah,
bridge the gap a little.
Yeah. It's just like, it's very humbling because I'm like, I'm literally the same maturity as Alyssa. This is like younger than me. But something I wanted to bring like to ground this conversation is like the biology of like the human brain, because our brains don't stop maturing until 21. Like they
Seriously?
don't start.
I didn't even know.
They don't stop developing until they're 25.
Okay.
Males, anyways.
Gotcha.
Females, I think it's like 21 or 23 or something like that.
Okay.
So if you take like an unconventional path, or you go towards the route of uncertainty / possibility, then it's like you're giving yourself more foundational, like more better roots.
It's
I
true.
feel like.
Yeah, like your basis of your maturity is higher, you know?
Yeah, totally.
It's very
and you
true.
have more
Experience?
Yeah, more experience and more space for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, just surrounding yourself with different people, you're going to have different experiences. I've done a whole episode about that as well. But, you know, all these things come together and kind of culminate into, you know, us taking these different paths. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, though, because I think this is very applicable if anybody's looking to do something, or you have a passion you've wanted to pursue for a while and you're just like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Do I have the support? You know, you can kind of hear from our different sides of the spectrum of like what you would consider to be out of the ordinary. And it's very much possible either way. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I would hope that the only thing stopping you is yourself. But if you don't have the opportunity, then maybe it's just not your time yet. But I think that this was a really fun topic that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I got to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is amazing. Hopefully I can come back and we could talk about some more stuff.
For real. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Dear Journal podcast, and I hope you enjoyed diving into today's topic. If you want to continue to get updates and stay notified, you can either turn on the notifications or follow me on Instagram at alyssa.white.22. That is all for today's episode, and I hope I see you next time.